An irresistible sense of peace and detachment, combined with that delicious physical awakening that pulses through the nerve-sick townsman when city airs and bald routine are left behind him, combined to provide me, however thankless a subject, with a solid background of resignation. Stowing this safely away, I could calculate my intentions with cold egotism. If the weather held, I might pass a not intolerable fortnight with Davies. When it broke up, as it was sure to, I could easily excuse myself from the pursuit of the problematical ducks. The wintry logic of facts would, in any case, decide him to lay up his yacht, for he could scarcely think of sailing home at such a season. I could then take a chance, lying ready of spending a few weeks in Dresden or elsewhere. I settled this programme comfortably, and then turned in. From Flushing eastward to Hamburg, then northward to Flensburg, I cut short the next day's sultry story. Past dike and windmill and still canals, onto blazing stubbles and roaring towns, at the last, after dusk, through a quiet level region where the train pottered from one lazy little station to another, and at 10 o'clock I found myself, stiff and stuffy, on the platform at Flensburg, exchanging greetings with Davies. "It's awfully good of you to come." "Not at all, it's very good of you to ask me." We were both of us ill at ease. Even in the dim gaslight he clashed on my notions of a yachtsman. No cool white ducks or neat blue serge, and where was the snowy-crowned yachting cap, that precious charm that so easily converts a landsman into a dashing mariner? Conscious that this impressive uniform, in high perfection, was lying ready in my portmanteau, I felt oddly guilty. Here were an old Norfolk jacket, muddy brown shoes, grey flannel trousers, or had they been white? And an ordinary tweed cap. The hand he gave me was horny, and appeared to be stained with paint. The other one, which carried a parcel, had a bandage on it which would have borne renewal. There was an instant of mutual inspection. I thought he gave me a shy, hurried scrutiny, as though to test past conjectures, with something of anxiety in it, and perhaps, save the mark, a tinge of admiration. The face was familiar, and yet not familiar, the pleasant blue eyes, open, clean-cut features, unintellectual forehead were the same, so were the brisk and impulsive movements. There was some change, but the moment of awkward hesitation was over, and the light was bad, and while strolling down the platform for my luggage, we chatted with constraint about trivial things. "By the way," he suddenly said, laughing, "I'm afraid I'm not fit to be seen, but it's so late it doesn't matter. I've been painting hard all day, and just got it finished. I only hope we shall have some wind tomorrow. It's been hopelessly calm lately. I say, you've brought a good deal of stuff," he concluded as my belongings began to collect. Here was a reward for my submissive exertions in the Far East. "You gave me a good many commissions." "Oh, I didn't mean those things," he said absently. "Thanks for bringing them, by the way. That's the stove, I suppose. Cartridges, this one, by the weight. You got the rigging screws all right, I hope? They're not really necessary, of course." I nodded vacantly, and felt a little hurt. "But they're simpler than lanyards, and you can't get them here. It's that portmanteau," he said slowly, measuring it with a doubtful eye. "Never mind, we'll try. You couldn't do with the Gladstone only, I suppose? You see, the dinghy, and there's the hatchway too." He was lost in thought. "Anyhow, we'll try. I'm afraid there are no cabs, but it's quite near, and the porter'll help." Sickening forebodings crept over me, while Davies shouldered my Gladstone and clutched at the parcels. "Aren't your men here?" I asked, faintly. "Men?" He looked confused. "Oh, perhaps I ought to have told you. I never have any paid hands. It's quite a small boat, you know. I hope you didn't expect luxury. I've managed her single-handed for some time. A man would be no use, and a horrible nuisance." He revealed these appalling truths with a cheerful assurance, which did nothing to hide a naive apprehension of their effect on me. There was a check in our mobilization. "It's rather late to go on board, isn't it?" I said in a wooden voice. Someone was turning out the gas-lights, and the porter yawned ostentatiously. "I think I'd rather sleep at a hotel tonight." A strained pause. "Oh, of course you can do that if you like," said Davies, in transparent distress of mind. "But it seems hardly worth while to cart this stuff all the way to an hotel. I believe they're all on the other side of the harbour, and back again to the boat tomorrow. She's quite comfortable, and you're sure to sleep well, as you're tired." "We can leave the things here," I argued feebly, "and walk over with my bag." "Oh, I shall have to go aboard anyhow," he rejoined. "I never sleep on shore." He seemed to be clinging timidly but desperately to some diplomatic end. A stony despair was invading me and paralysing resistance. Better face the worst and be done with it. "Come on," I said grimly. Heavily loaded, we stumbled over railway lines and rubble heaps, and came on the harbour. Davies led the way to a stairway, whose weedy steps disappeared below in gloom. "If you'll get into the dinghy," he said, all briskness now, "I'll pass the things down." I descended gingerly, holding as a guide a sodden painter, which ended in a small boat, and conscious that I was collecting slime on cuffs and trousers. "Hold up!" shouted Davies cheerfully, as I sat down suddenly near the bottom, with one foot in the water. I climbed wretchedly into the dinghy and awaited events. "Now float her up close under the quay wall, and make fast to the ring down there," came down from above, followed by the slack of the sodden painter, which knocked my cap off as it fell. "All fast? Any knot'll do," I heard, as I grappled with this loathsome task, and then a big dark object loomed overhead and was lowered into the dinghy. It was my portmanteau, and, placed athwart, exactly filled all the space amidships. "Does it fit?" was the anxious inquiry from aloft. "Beautifully." "Capital." Scratching at the greasy wall to keep the dinghy close to it, I received in succession our stores, and stowed the cargo as best I could, while the dinghy sank lower and lower in the water, and its precarious superstructure grew higher. "Catch!" was the final direction from above, and a damp soft parcel hit me in the chest. "Be careful of that, it's meat. Now back to the stairs." I painfully acquiesced, and Davies appeared. "It's a bit of a load, and she's rather deep, but I think we shall manage," he reflected. "You sit right aft, and I'll row." I was too far gone for curiosity as to how this monstrous pyramid was to be rowed, or even for surmises as to its foundering by the way. I crawled to my appointed seat, and Davies extricated the buried sculls by a series of tugs, which shook the whole structure and made us roll alarmingly. How he stowed himself into rowing posture I have not the least idea, but eventually we were moving sluggishly out into the open water, his head just visible in the bows. We had started from what appeared to be the head of a narrow loch, and were leaving behind us the lights of a big town. A long frontage of lamp-lit quays was on our left, with here and there the vague hull of a steamer alongside. We passed the last of the lights and came out into a broader stretch of water, when a light breeze was blowing and dark hills could be seen on either shore. "I'm lying a little way down the fjord, you see," said Davies. "I hate to be too near a town, and I found a carpenter handy here.